And more about this, I will talk with Alexander Kovalenko, military political observer for the Information Resistance Group. Hello and welcome. The United Kingdom has delivered multiple Storm Shadow cruise missiles to Ukraine, giving the nation a new long-range strike capability in advance of highly anticipated counteroffensive against Russian forces. How will these cruise missiles change the situation on the front line?
For Ukraine, it's very important right now to perform the influence behind the enemy lines of the occupants deep there. As for now, we managed to create the conditions, if not to dominate, but to have the regular influence at the front behind of the enemy lines, around like 50-70 kilometers. But for behind this part, we cannot have the constant and highly efficient influence on the ammunition depot, on the military units. With the Storm Shadow, we're going to have these capabilities, and even if we will be able to use them in the 300 kilometers radius, because there actually is the 500 radius as well, but actually 100 kilometers is enough for us to cover the area where we need to make to strike blows in order to limit their capabilities to use the logistics and other things.
Oh, I see. It's good. The United States has confirmed information about the shooting down of the Russian Kinzhal missile by the Patriot air defense system. The Russians have not been successful with their missile terror in recent weeks. Will they give up missile attacks on Ukraine, and what tactics will they choose in the future?
It's hard to say which tactics can the enemy take, because we see that they are constantly, during the whole 2022, they were trying to adapt to the particular conditions. But even when we talk about the destroying of the Russian Kinzhal missile, which was considered to be second to none and not to be intercepted, but right now we see that's the game changer, and the armed forces of Ukraine, they demonstrate that the launch of the air defense Patriot really proves to be successful in destroying of Russian missiles. It means that Russians do not have any unique missiles, and right now they have to look for other ways in order to enhance the effectiveness of their rocket strikes. They can do it by the little number of the cruise missiles, or they can accumulate in order to provide the massive rocket attacks during the short period of times in order to exhaust our air defense. Or they're going to mix all of this along with the UAVs, kamikaze drones. So there can be different scenarios. Therefore, we will try, and they will try to adapt.
But we are prepared for this, yes?
Of course, we are prepared.
Okay, my next question would be as follows. The Ukrainian armed forces report a significant advance on the southwestern outskirts of Bakhmut. They claim to have killed more than 100 Russians and taken a large number of prisoners. Can we assume that the army's counteroffensive has already begun?
It's hard to say whether it's already counteroffensive, because what we are witnessing right now around Bakhmut and beyond, and within the city as well. So this is, first of all, this systemic counterattacking meaning. So they are becoming more systemic, which allows us to have the constant and permanent pressure over the enemy's positions. This is what made it clear for us to advance in the southern western direction and the northern western direction of Bakhmut, to be successful there and recapturing our position that had been lost before and were temporarily occupied by Russians. Therefore, around Bakhmut right now we can talk about the systemic features of counterattack, but we cannot, they are not counteroffensive actions as such. No, it's still early to say that.
Okay, we'll wait. And let's talk a little bit about this year's so-called victory parade in Moscow. It was one of the smallest in history. There were practically no tracked vehicles in parade, apart from the T-34 museum tank from the 1940s. What is the reason for this? All the technology on the battlefield or another options?
Yeah, that's a kind of strange situation because even in the city like Khabarovsk or Yekaterinburg, there were tanks available like T-62M and T-90A and T-90S. So still there is a question how on earth it was possible not to make it for some tanks to the Moscow, even to take the tanks that are not influenced and not sent to the battlefield. It was possible to do that. Still, they are trying to accentuate the cargo point of the victory, how their grandfathers were fighting. Yes, they were doing the T-64. Yes, the losses of Russia are immense and they cannot compensate these losses in an effective way. Therefore, Russia is forced to take the old Russian Soviet tanks, and they still have the limited number of them, but when they are talking about the second army of the world and demonstrating the T-62 and T-55, so again, it's a serious blow on their reputation. It's kind of humiliation of reputation.
Mr. Kovalenko, thank you very much for joining me today, for joining Spotlight Ukraine. We talked about the situation on the front lines and about our future counteroffensive. This was Alexander Kovalenko, military political observer for the Information Resistance Group. This is Spotlight Ukraine. More to come.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Latest news, trends, and analytics on all about Ukraine. Like, share, and subscribe. Any questions, proposals, and comments, contact us via email.